The leadership of the African Union at the very highest level is an opportunity which every country aspires to, because it represents a bestowal of trust and confidence on the part of other countries. The African Union has been led by persons from many regions. East Africa has not had a chance to lead the African Union itself. The last time we led was during the tenure of the Organization of African Unity, Salim, a very seasoned diplomat from Tanzania. He was the last Secretary General of the Organization of African Unity before he transitioned to AU. But since the establishment of the AU itself 25 years ago, the Eastern region has not led it. It is now the turn of the Eastern region. And Kenya is an important member of the Eastern region. Every member of the Eastern region is important, but I think it is generally acknowledged that Kenya carries a lot of weight on behalf of the region, particularly in terms of the refugees burden, the burden associated with negotiating peace deals within the region, the support it gives to a lot of countries in terms of the economy, amongst others. And so because of our leadership, we thought that this would be a good time for Kenya. And in making that decision, then the question became, which Kenyan? Who? And in arriving at the decision of nominating Prime Minister Odinga, I think President Ruto was informed, obviously, by, number one, the office of the African Union Commission. It is an office that has more than 16 functions. The most critical function is to represent the interests of Africa globally. Africa is now a member of the G20, which means that, or rather the AU is a member of the G20, which means that that person represents and articulates the interests of Africa in that body. Africa is a key member, of various other forums, the Forum for China-Africa, the TICAD with Japan, the US-Africa Summit, many other forums where Africa's interest is at play. And therefore, that position requires a consummate leader, a consummate negotiator, a strong leader, a visionary. It requires a leader who's been tested, who is not going to be overrode by the office, but a leader who's going to shape the office and give it gravitas and give it weight. And so in choosing Mr. Odinga, I think President Ruto was very conscious of the need to have a strong leader at the helm of the African Union Commission who will be able to drive the Africa narrative for this Africa century. We really are believers in the Africa Renaissance, an Africa that is rising, an Africa that is self-confident, an Africa that can take its place in serious capitals, assert its interests much more strongly, and therefore you're not really just looking at a bureaucrat, you're looking at somebody who can straddle the spheres of the technical, but also the political, and the diplomatic. And there are very few people of this caliber, and that's why Honorable Odinga was then the right choice for that. So I think it's a good investment, it's a worthy investment, and it is my view that there will be tangible returns to Nairobi and to Kenya.
So why did you not have this conversation in the way you're putting it before? No?
I think it's interesting. Sometimes we come with a lot of humility on certain platforms. It's always been our wish that, number one, this project is owned by Africans. That people need to understand Mr. Odinga not just as a Kenyan candidate, but as a quintessential Pan-Africanist, and that it's actually in the interest of Africa for him to lead the AUC at this critical juncture. A strong Kenya, a Kenya that is respected by other nations, an attractive Kenya, would be part of the national interest that we all embrace. In the candidature of Mr. Odinga, just like in a stronger Kenya Airways, in a stronger M-Pesa, in a stronger Equity Bank, these big brands, that's another brand for Kenya, a positive brand that would attract good to the country.